The other problem is our industries are not spoken about yet in a way that people can see them as opportunity, right? So there's no reason why Amazon warehouse for 24 hours has so many workers and there's so many people out the door. When I go to speak to schools, when I say, what do you want to be? You know what I'm saying? I never heard nobody say, I want to be an Amazon worker. I don't see no Amazon warehouse pathway at schools. I don't see that as a thing that guidance counselors are saying, but it's packed. Maybe it's not what they want to do, but it's what they got to do, right? And so, again, it goes back to that opportunity. We have way better opportunities. So why are we losing to Amazon right now?
What up, everybody? We are back for another episode of the Outreach Podcast. Got a very special guest with me, Andrew Crowe. He is the founder, CEO, operator of Crowe Manufacturing. So, man, how you doing today?
Man, I'm blessed and highly favored, man. I'm excited to be here, brother.
Yeah. No, it's good, man. We gonna get into it. I know you got an amazing story, man. We go chop it up, man. We just talk through construction, manufacturing, and just a lot of things that people may not know about, that side of the industry. And so
Mhm.
I'm gonna jump right into it here, man. Most people think construction only happens on a job site, right? But when you think about the industry of construction, it happens actually in shops like yours, right? So talk to me a little bit about, your company, your shop, man, what you guys do and what you specialize in.
I do a little bit things a little bit differently. So I started off in the shops. I started off, actually in the streets. I didn't know anything about manufacturing. I didn't know anything about, what happened in these industries or the trades, really at all. And I found myself with my back against the wall. I was a two-time felon and a father before I was 18. And, it wasn't a whole lot of opportunity for me because of the things and the decisions that I had made. So, there wasn't much for me. So I had, found a shop one day when I decided that, I wanted to get out of the streets, and I was just asking people, what can a person with no skills and felonies as a young age, what can I get into?
Yeah.
At the time it was the recession. So even retail and fast food wasn't hiring at the time, So I looked up and somebody was like, hey, it's a machine shop. And at that first shop that I got into, I was, just sweeping, cleaning the floors. And actually, before I got into the shop, I went in there and it was an older white man named Donnie from the sticks, and I didn't look nothing like me. Nobody was in the shop that looked like me at all. And he slid me a test, and on the test, it had tools of the trade. It had calipers, micrometers, different measuring devices. And I failed that side. But on the other side, it had math. It had fractions, right? So 1/4, an eighth, three quarters, right? And so it would say, what is this fraction? What's the decimal equivalent? Or if I add an eighth to a quarter, how much do I have now? And from my other jobs in the streets, I passed that side of the test. I did really
Right.
well, right? And so a lot of times people don't even understand, man, you got a lot of transferable skills that you might be using right now for the wrong reasons, but
Yeah.
you can make a bag off of these same skills that you have if you put them in the right environment. So I got into that first shop. We were making these things called non-contact bearing isolators, and they're put inside of big combines, big cranes, jet fighter engines, pipelines when we're moving oil, the big oil pipelines. And so I started making these things, and I started, seeing like, I'm good at all the things that teachers used to tell me I'm not good at. I'm in here doing geometry, I'm doing trigonometry, I'm doing high level mathematics and metallurgy, science, we manipulating 3D environments, designing CAD designs and stuff like that. So I really got to see that when I apply myself, or when I have something that I can apply, these things too, that I understand or that make sense to me or that I like, I'm actually a lot smarter than people were telling me. So, you know, given that opportunity, I started, reaching back to people that look like me. It was open
Yeah.
positions in the shop. And, I started asking the people, I could go back to different places and I could find people that are way smarter than me that don't even know that this thing exists, and they could do even better than I can, and that turned into, me running shops, some of the big corporations, Caterpillar, John Deere. I worked at Kubota before, and so a lot of the things that are happening within, like you said, the manufacturing industry and the construction industry, a lot of that stuff goes hand in hand. And now that even the lines are graying, right? So back then, you know, manufacturing, first of all, we're gonna make all the equipment that's gonna be needed to build any structure, right? Or to, to move any heavy equipment or anything, building materials, things like that, right? Number one. Number two, any actual tool or equipment, hand tools, anything that you got, if it's got metal on it, we touched it, we made it, right?
Sure.
And we want to make, those parts precise. We want to make them out of, different metals or different materials that's going to make your job safer, make your job more repeatable, make your job more standard and more easy, right? And then we look at things like, you probably seen it, I'm sure, but they 3D printing houses now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's a direct overlay of what we do and what y'all do, and applying both of those principles together. And now, people are saying that that might be the future of how we at least lay foundation in these industries. So,
Man.
uh, a skyscraper don't go up without us. Nothing happens in the world. Nothing that you drive in, sit in, fly in, nothing that you have on your body right now wasn't touched by advanced manufacturing in some type of way first. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I like to tell kids too. Like, that conversation that we were kind of having prior to this, it's all about opportunities, right? And being aware of opportunities. A lot of times kids don't even know the vast variety of things that they could do or they could explore or they're capable of. And if we
And
don't
that
put
goes back
these
to options, man. Like
Yeah,
I think, you hit on so many things, but just talking about your story, and I'm sure you've been able to inspire, countless of young people, man, and probably and young adults, and I would say of all ages, but especially those who are younger, if you having those conversations, about what your options are. Because as we go out, through our events that we do where we're introducing construction to different high school students, man, across the US. And, we have real conversations, and sometimes I can hear what they value,
yes,
and what they do, to either make ends meet or what they, think that they are going to, make their bag off of, right? And
hmm
so I slide into some of those conversations because it's like if you don't have anybody interrupting those conversations and giving you a new model of success and what you can be. Like you don't have to see like everything that Hollywood or music may sell us every time. You know what I'm saying? It's like we can
yes,
do more than just be athletes or rap. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more than just
100%.
that. And I'm not gonna throw any shade on anybody that's gifted in that area. But if you're not exposed to all of the different options that you could have and you see people that look like you know what I'm saying, doing different things that don't necessarily get the spotlight, then you start to think subconsciously that all you have to do is what's in front of you.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
yes,
And
yes,
so, especially when those things are glorified. And so now
yes,
you're utilizing gifts, that are attached to your purpose in a different way, right? That
yes,
doesn't edify anybody, doesn't edify yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's more destructive than anything. So
yes.
when they have somebody that they can connect with that did that, but say, you know what, like I found a different path, and this is how I was able to take those gifts that I did have, you know what I'm saying, and apply them in a different way. I mean, you gotta be that's transformative, man.
100%. I think you hit something on the head, and I think that's something that I really love about what y'all do is y'all go to the places and represent the people that are the communities that you're visiting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's something that we need. If I saw you or myself come into my school at 14, 15, around the ages that I started getting into the streets and making those wrong decisions, I probably would have reconsidered. And they might have said, "Hey, kid, you could be whatever you want to be." They could have gave me the blueprint, but
Yeah.
it's not gonna hit because you don't look like me. You don't
Right.
understand what I go through. But when you come in and you speak in my language and I can see in you that you look like me, okay, then maybe it is possible for us to do the same thing. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And so at that point, it's at least something that I'm reconsidering. And it's like, okay, there aren't just these three routes for me. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Yep.
so now it's like, okay, here's another opportunity, another option. And it's something that I can actually reach. I could reach this thing. It's actually within my grasp because I'm seeing somebody that's physically doing it that looks like me, that's speaking my language, and I can pick it up. You know what I'm saying? So,
Ye
I commend you for that. And so that's basically, what that turned into. So I started talking to these, young men and women that were from places that I was, used to, the youth offenders group, the battered women's shelter, Wyman Foundation. And I was like, hey, this is what I do. I can get you a job. So I started hiring for, well, I was working still, but I was bringing people in to work for me at the Boeings of the world, the Anheuser-Busch's, the Caterpillars, the John Deere's. And as I was doing that, manufacturing specifically, like I said, it's the first step of every other industry. You know what I'm saying? It has a physical product, even the ones that don't. So you know, it's the global. It's a big global industry. They call it the heavyweight division of the world, right?
True.
So my name started ringing bells that I could get into these communities and I could help manufacturers fill these positions, not only with people that were just standing there, but engage people that wanted to upskill and wanted to, continue to grow within the company. So I started getting out and connecting communities to the opportunities, but then at the same time helping these Fortune 500s understand that this isn't charity work, right? These people that are coming from these opportunity communities like myself, necessity is the mother of invention. You know what I'm saying? So anywhere where the need is the most, that's where the creativity is the highest.
Yeah.
And when we're looking at, a field that is creating, we're making things or we're taking things that are already here, like, cars, and then we Elon Musk them and now they're electric. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So that's the power of what we could do in this industry. And then, like I said, once we start, using our creative skills and using our mind, now we got, 3D printed houses and,
Yeah.
things like
No,
that.
that's good, man. Because I have those similar conversations. Sometimes, they're challenging conversations where, especially with some of the larger companies, it's like, no, it's not charity work. Like
Hmm.
this is a business solution for you.
Absolutely.
When you think
Absolutely.
about the longevity of your company, we're offering a business solution. There is untapped potential out here, and I can create an avenue to that talent that this external narrative is circulating around their community and their lives, saying that they don't have the potential, right? And so when you engage them, then it's more of a handout. And it's like, no, 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 no. They have the skill set and the abilities to add value. And that's different.
Absolutely.
And so when you start viewing it as a business solution as opposed to charity, then now that engagement, that touch point is going to be different because now it's like, okay, what can I learn from you? you know, and let me provide a way, for you to come in and add value. And so it becomes more of a two-way street, man, and
I
I
want to
think
know though. I want to know in so in manufacturing, like you said, we're hand in hand, right? And in manufacturing, we're in a unique place right now where I want to watch my words. People have been traditional for so long
oh yeah.
that non-traditional people have been kind of gate kept from these opportunities because people from that culture have known for a long time if 4-year college is not the route, I can send my children or myself through a trade and there's an avenue, there's a union, there's support, there's
Facts.
security for them to not only learn the trade and move up in the trade, but then become possibly an entrepreneur and then provide jobs for other members of our community and or family, right? But manufacturing, like I said, it had been so rigid for so long. And now we're in a space with tariffs, with, make America make things again, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and all of these things coming back here,
Yep.
now manufacturers are in a place where the message that I've been trying to preach for so long, we Americans too, we need to be in this, we need to have access to these careers. And it was charity at first. Now the tables are turning. Now they're like, oh my goodness, we've got 1.8 million open jobs.
Mm,
And that if we don't fill these and we can't build enough robots fast enough, we don't find the people that adds to, 20 billion off of our GDP every year. Right. And then that further in manufacturing, like if we're not making, if we don't have enough people to make our own, jets, or like I work with the Navy, buildsubmarines.com. If we're not making things ourselves, a country that can is making it, and the other makers right now are China, Korea, India, so if they're making our cars and our tools to build things, we getting bad quality, or we don't have control over, that aspect, right? So say we stop making things and we have to rely on China to get all of our building materials, all of our tools. Are we still being able to build new homes? Are we still be able to be, build construction if replacement parts can't be made real quickly? You know what I'm saying? So it's almost a national security thing in our industry at this point. So that's what kind of forced the tables to turn. But I
mm.
want to hear from you if that's okay. Like,
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
temperature like in construction?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's pretty similar. When you think about the workforce dilemma that construction has along with manufacturing, you mentioned, a shade over 1 million jobs that are available. It's going to be 4 million jobs that are available, within the industry that need to be filled by 2031. So we just a handful of years. We in that deficit right now. There's a labor shortage, right? There's a crisis. And you said it earlier, man, like, necessity, like that's like the mother of invention, right? And so when you think about that, the industry is now in a position to where you've got a generation that's aging out. We're not backfilling those positions at the same
Yep.
rate that people are leaving. But this younger demographic that the industry is in need of for its overall sustainability is the most diverse generation
Yes.
that they've ever had.
1,000. Yep.
So now it's like you can't just hold up the banner and say, hey, we got all these jobs open and we go pay you X amount of money and then expect for people to start coming. It's like, no, 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 no. You got to deal with that historical record that you have where
Yes.
minorities weren't brought into an environment that was conducive for their success. So
Yes.
now you got to deal with that narrative, right?
And
And so that's the piece.
those are generational layers that they have to pull back. You know
Of
what I'm
course.
saying? Because that's been a grandpa saying that door was shut for me, don't go there, right? And then that's been community saying, oh, maybe they did open it a little bit, but we were only able to do these positions, no matter how much training we had or how many certifications we had. And it's like, man, there's so much more than, like you said, just holding that sign and hoping the people will come. And so, that's another thing, like I said, man, just to give you your props, like we got to bring the trades to the people, and we got to bring it in a way that we don't say, man, we just going to hope y'all come. We're going to hope that y'all like to stay here. We got to be changing the culture proactively as we go recruit the next generation of young people
Yep.
so that they take this opportunity as a real opportunity. And it's not just like a flash in the pan, or it's not just like, we setting up, we bringing our people to the slaughter, so to speak. Like let's not bring them back into situations that aren't fit for them, or they gonna get their ceilings placed over their head.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think? What you think is the hardest skill set to hire for right now, or the most in demand skill set?
That's a great question. I think for me, it really depends, man. If I think in both of these industries, the skill set that I would look for more than anything technical would probably be determination and grit. However, you could quantify that. Because like I
Yeah,
said, man,
the intangibles. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely, man. Those soft skills. If somebody knows how to show up to a job site on time and be reliable in the work that they do, be a good teammate, keep they head up, and continue to work, do their job, all of the things that is not necessarily a technical skill are the
yeah,
things that I think are most valuable in the trades for sure going forward. And I say that because myself and a lot of people that I know did not get into the trades because that was a first choice or a first option, or we went to technical school or, anything like that. And I work, I know plumbers, HVAC technicians. I taught at Ranken for 4 years. You know what I'm
mm,
saying?
yeah,
And most of the people that that again, I know didn't have the skill set. They had that determination and they might have had their back against the wall, or they just had something in their life where they said, this is gonna be it for me and I'm gonna walk it down. But no matter what I gotta go up against, so along that, if you have that as your foundation, you're gonna learn those technical skills, I believe, on the job training, as you're working. And then that goes back to the community situation. If you got a culture of mentorship, if you got a culture of, positive feedback, if you got a culture of, psychological safety where you can say, hey, I don't have these specific technical skills, or I need to sharpen these a little bit more, and that doesn't get you written up or fired, that get you more training. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? Those are the things that I think, are beyond anything that could jump off on paper. You know what I'm saying? And then not even taking a step further, before I came to Ranken, I was in the field. I was at a defense manufacturer and we were making howitzers and fighter jets, right? And Rankin kept calling me and they wanted me to come there. And I had a bad taste in my mouth because at the time in the industry, specifically, we would prefer to hire from a clean slate, a person with no skills, because we could show them the way, right? But at that time, the way that the technical college was set up, they weren't teaching skills, the technical skills that were up to date to where the industry was. So when we hired kids that were fresh out of ranking, we had to spend more time unteaching them what they had learned at the school and then reteaching them the proper way to do it. And the investment, the time, and all of that stuff was too much, right?
Mm.
And so, you know, I'm a firm believer in, if there is a proper training system, or if there is that grit and determination, the skills can be taught, and you can upskill, you can grab more certifications. You can, that's the beautiful thing about our industry. You don't necessarily have to go to a technical college or a 4-year degree program or anything like that. You can stack these skills and continue to
Yeah.
bag up.
No, that's good, man. That's good. So, when we think about like leadership, because you've had a variety of roles, man, like in your career, and definitely a leader. What do you think separates like shops that survive from shops that just can scale? You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? When you
great.
think about the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
ecosystem of manufacturing and then being able to develop those partnerships, like what's that difference from a leadership perspective?
Man, that's a great question. I think the first thing for these shops that are surviving are and actually thriving are the ones that can stay flexible and stay open minded. I wasn't around in the '80s, but I do, you know, I do my work, look up and look at historical times. But when things economically seemed to be a lot better, there was access to the trades. There was
Mm,
opportunities for people to work. There was, companies that invested in training themselves, right? And so you could go to, there's apprentice halls on every corner almost. You know what I'm saying? You can go find a carpenters union, you could find a machinist union, an aerospace union. I remember back in the day when I was young, kids that would move out of the hood, their parents always got a job at McDonnell Douglas. And I never knew like
yeah.
how they get paid working at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Now they go to a county school and they got, you know what I'm saying? And I never knew what until I got older and I was like, oh, it's Boeing, McDonnell Douglas, okay. And I didn't know what they was doing in there, but that's what the trades could afford you. You know what I'm saying? My wife right now, her late grandfather, it was that was her story. He's illiterate. He didn't know how to read or write, went to the union hall, became a machinist at McDonnell Douglas through their apprenticeship programs. He worked there his whole life, and the picture we got of him, he in his Cowboys coat with his watch that he got from McDonnell Douglas at the time and his retirement cake, and she was like, that's vividly what I remember our lives changing, from my grandfather getting that job, so that used to be the way that it was. And so companies now have, went to the way of the almighty dollar, and they think that that comes from, mass sales, churn and burn. And we're realizing now that, with real estate crashes and things slowing up, and, you know, manufacturing slowing down and China kicking up, and then them becoming a world power, we're really seeing what the effect of not training people, not intentionally helping build bridges and access to these trades
Mm.
is gonna happen, right? So I think the companies that get it right, that are open to the type of people that come into work, the type of systems that they have within their work, altering their company culture, and then investing into recruiting, outreach, training, and upskilling themselves, those are the ones that are gonna continue to be here. Everybody else is gonna get smoked, man.
Yeah, yeah. So those are the changes, when you think about the difference between, shops that survive versus those that scaled. And those are the changes that you would like to see kind of come back into the industry at large, right? Just being able to have more accessibility, more companies investing in their own training, so that you are able to put people in a position to, become what they have the potential to accomplish.
And it's
And
possible. That, like,
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
thing
yeah.
is, that's the thing that we did it back then and it worked, right? And then we slowed down. And then a lot of people were pushing people towards tech careers, quote unquote, right? So the trade schools, the career departments in high schools, even what we used to call CTE, where you had a woodworking class and a
Yeah.
shop class, you know what I'm saying? And you would build. You
Yeah,
build a
and
little
now that's starting to
birdhouse.
come back, but it's incrementally. It's not like everything
Yes,
happening all at once.
yes,
Every state is
yes.
different. So
And
yeah.
it's only the districts that say we're going to make that investment. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, like you said, it's sprinkled here and there, and it's almost retroactive. Now it's like, oh, we got this problem. Oh no, our pants are on fire. Now we gotta put it out. But why didn't y'all get some non-flammable pants and stop standing next to the fire? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so that's what I say when these are the people that are seeing this and they're taking off because they're saying that making that investment matters.
Yeah.
And we're it's not charity, like we were talking about earlier, right? This is not charity. We can get good jobs and we can find good workers. The other problem is our industries are not spoken about yet in a way that people can see them as opportunity, right? So there's no reason why Amazon warehouse for 24 hours has so many workers and there's so many people out the door. When you go to speak to schools, or when I go to speak to schools, when I say, what do you want to be? You know what I'm saying? I never heard nobody say, I want to be an Amazon worker. I don't see no
Yeah.
Amazon warehouse pathway at schools. I don't see that as a thing that guidance counselors are saying, but it's packed. And why is it packed? Because people see that as a way to pay bills. They see that as a way to meet that Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maybe it's not what they want to do, but it's what they gotta do, right? And so again, it goes back to that opportunity. We have way better opportunities. So why are we losing to Amazon right now? Why do we have 1 million jobs open? Why do we got 3 million jobs open? And these places are packed out and have less opportunity to offer, So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's really about companies investing in the messaging, investing in the messengers, and saying, hey, we need to be intentional about reaching the youth, reaching these opportunity communities, reaching veterans, reaching justice impacted individuals, reaching, military spouses. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that may be, making that concerted effort and saying, we're going to put our time and our efforts behind that. And we're going to develop and give opportunities for mobility and upskilling.
Yeah, man. And not writing people off. You know what I'm saying? Like based on how they look and what they,
Yes.
what they think they cannot offer. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
Like, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, just to keep it 100, man, like we both have experienced that. You know what I'm saying? And we probably still experience it. Where when they see us at first glance, they don't think we know what we know.
you see
Or they
my
don't think
teeth?
we do what we do. You got a grill. You know what I'm
You know what
saying?
I'm
Like,
saying?
come on, man.
Yep.
And they on here, you on here talking about, maritime work, working with the Navy, Caterpillar, Boeing, all those leaders, man, doing things on your own, hiring, teaching at Ranken. That's a college, by the way, for those who don't know, that's not in St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? Very good technical college. But it's like they don't think that. You know what I'm saying?
Not at all,
It's
not at
a
all. And that
problem.
but it's a problem, but it's an opportunity too,
For
And
sure.
so that's
It
why,
is.
my goals are permanent. I don't take them out, but that was from back in the day. But it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I could have got them changed. I could have got some veneers. I could have done it. But when I step into these rooms, I want everybody there to have to deal with all of those feelings that they have right now. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And
Yeah.
all of those emotions, right? And like, why is he supposed to be here? Why? Da, 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 da? And then when I represent all of these communities in the way that I do, then it immediately makes them have to deal with their bias that they had when I walked in the room. Adversely, when I go and speak to kids and they're like, oh, he looked like a rapper. He looked like all these other things, and then I say, "Oh no, man, I'm a MIT graduate mechanical engineer. I speak at the White House. I'm a government consultant. I do all these different things. I have a tour that's in Forbes magazine. I had a TV show on Discovery Channel about building and engineering." Then they like, "Oh man," and they start confronting their own biases and like, "Okay, I could look however I want to look. I don't got to code switch. I don't got to do any of these different things. I just got to stay down in something that I love, put the work in, and then I can write the rules myself, And
Mhm.
and so again, a million jobs aren't gonna get filled. 3 million jobs aren't gonna get filled without hiring somebody that look like us. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Right.
it's just not gonna happen. So instead of us saying like, all of y'all got to conform to these old traditional rules that this industry has forced upon us. No, man, your skills are good enough. Your determination is good enough. The OGs, me and you, if I'm able to call us that right now, I don't know if we've
Yeah, yeah,
earned
yeah.
that status yet. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, people like us that have found the way have to
Yeah.
continue to come back and fight to offer these opportunities, show these opportunities, and then build those bridges. And then, like I said, it's a two-way street. We got to be in these boardrooms saying, "Hey, this isn't a charity. These are people that are willing and ready to work right now. That are most likely, if you give them the chance, be your most loyal employee. And this is the way to do it. But y'all got to do some work. Y'all can't just put the burden on the communities continuously, right? Find the skills yourself. Find the teachers yourself. Find the advocates yourself. And then when you get into our field, if you've done all those things yourself, then act like us enough to where you could keep your job. Doesn't matter what your skills are. You could be the best skilled person there, but if you don't conform to us, you ain't got no job no more. And unfortunately, when we leave these fields, we're not going to a different place because that different place be acting the same a lot of times.
Yep.
We're leaving the industry completely and
Yep.
we're adding to that vacuum of the retirees aging out and the
Yeah.
open jobs that are still coming.
What we do, we gonna tell about that bad experience.
And yep,
Hey man, I told you, they all the same. You know what I
yep.
mean? Don't even waste your time. You know what I'm saying? Like
And
now everybody else, you know what I'm saying, got
yep,
the same feeling. So you
yep.
riding in that gap.
Bro, and that's what they don't understand is the value of a messenger like yourself or like
Yeah.
myself,
Yeah.
because we could get in there and we can actually speak the language, or we can say, man, how do y'all really feel about this place? I can take it back to them and I can let them know these are areas of opportunity for these people. And so a lot of times they don't understand, like it doesn't matter how many carrots you wave in front of the community right now. You have
Yep.
hit us with the stick for so long that we don't even care about the carrot. We'd
Right.
rather get it another way than have to come
Yeah.
rock with y'all. So
Yep.
so it's gonna take that. But again, you know, the backs are against the wall. I spent some time with a demographer in one of these sessions that I had with the government about population and economy and all these different things. And people talk about China all the time as a world power and somebody that we're competing with. And their demographic curve, meaning the amount of, the age spread of people that they have right
Yeah.
now, it's upside down. So their population is populated with a whole bunch of older people
Mm.
and not enough younger people to keep it. It's an upside down pyramid. So
Gotcha.
that's an economy that's going to crash, right? Good, strong economies and world powers have several things. They have housing that's getting made all the time because they have people that have jobs that are good enough that can buy housing. And then what you want to do with the housing is you want to have a family and fill it up, right?
Mm.
So the more young people that you have, you want your demographic curve to go this way.
Mm,
So there's more young people at the bottom because then that becomes the working class that supports the older class as they get older, and people don't have to work as long and, support the younger class, right? So a
mm.
healthy demographic curve looks like this, looks like a triangle, right? And so the manufacturing industry and the housing industry, the construction industry are two major factors of that demographic curve. Because again, if we're making things, we have good jobs, and if we're building houses and
Yeah.
people can afford those houses, we're getting more families in them, we're creating more babies, and it contributes to the economy in the working class. So that's what demographics is about, right? That's why these two things are important. And right now, we're not building enough houses, we're not making enough things, and the
Yeah, what are
government.
we like? 4 million houses short, I think.
Yep,
Something like that.
absolutely.
That's a lot.
And it's
Yeah.
and it's getting shorter. You know what I'm saying? So again, we've got to continue to create the good jobs, get the people in them that need the good
Yeah.
jobs and they can work
Accessibility.
the good jobs, and then continue to build so, we can keep making these families. And
So what would you tell like that 18-year-old about why manufacturing is a safe bet for them? You know what I'm saying? Like when they think about not only an opportunity right now, but to build a career off of kind of long term. Why is it good for them to consider manufacturing as a career?
so, I would say at 18, I probably caught you 5 years too late or more. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? I feel like at about middle school, kids start to make a decision of who they think they are, what they see, and what they want to be. They maybe have it narrowed down to 3 to 5 decisions, right? And then there's maybe still exploring some things. By the time they get to freshman year of high school, they probably got that list narrowed down to three or one thing, and they got that set in their mind, right? And
mhm,
anything new that you try to introduce them to, it's kind of tough. By 18, you either got your mindset, you probably on your way, or you might have been checked out already, right? So a lot of times when I talk to somebody that's in that age range, I ask them what's their pain points or what's their joys. And I've heard a lot of different things. I went and spoke to a men's group in Chicago, and a young dude was like, "Man, I just want Hellcats and Jordans." You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
And I was like, "Okay, that's cool." So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
made
yeah.
him get on Indeed in front of everybody and look up CNC machinist positions near me, and the entry level positions are paying $28 to $35 an hour. So it's like, how many J's and Hellcats is that gonna get you? You know what I'm saying? So when we see, the why, right? Then they really get the what we do and how we do it even better. So a lot of times with the youth, it's money motivated, it's materialistic. And so, I kind of use that as an opportunity because a manufacturing career is one that you can get in 18 to 24 months with a certification, or like myself, you can get in with nothing at all. And the national average for an entry level manufacturer is $22 to $24, across the board, across the United States. And then on top of that, if you in a field like aerospace, like we have here in St. Louis, or defense or medical manufacturing, like we also have here in St. Louis, they start you off at $30 an hour or higher, right? When I was at the technical college, as a matter of fact, there's a company called Honeywell. You might be familiar with them, like they have thermostats on houses. They make a lot of different things like that. But they also make nuclear warheads, and they have locations in Georgia. They have one in Kansas City, and they take entry level workers. You do have to pass a government clearance check, but they take entry level workers at $36 an hour. There's a $7 a yearly raise, and then you also get a up to $7 merit rate raise. So I had kids that were graduating from Ranken, going right from my program, making $36 an hour. You know what I'm saying? So those are some of the real life things that you can do. Another thing, like I said, I had my son when I was 15. So he is 21 now. When he was around that age, when he was 18, we were deciding what college he was going to go to and what he was going to study. And, I had been trying to get him into my field for a long time, right? So as a dad, I wanted him to be over here. And he was like, mechanical engineering, like those machines, all that different stuff. I don't really like that. Like, that's for you, dad, it's not really for me. So I knew he was into sneakers. I knew he was into all that stuff. And like I said, manufacturing touches everything, right? So I hit up my people at Nike and he started working with them, making their digital twins. So any product that is made these days, whether it be a controller, whether it be a shoe, whether it be fabric, hat, anything, cars,
Yeah.
they do something called non-destructive testing or they do digital destructive testing. So
Mm,
in a 3D environment, they make the exact model, they burn it, they stretch it, they wear it out. So you know exactly how durable this thing is, what temperatures it can withstand. That's a whole job. You know what I'm saying? So you
yeah,
never around a machine, you never around anything like that. You just creating digital twins. You like sneakers, you know what I'm saying? And it's like
yeah.
you playing a video game. Kids that play video games. The FedEx plant in Memphis. Memphis has got the FedEx is headquartered there. And one of their largest warehouses, they're in their R&D department, their research and development department. They've got robots and they've got pallet jacks that are, controlled by Xbox and PlayStation controllers. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? So when I show kids these videos, or I tell them like, man, can you play with a controller? Oh yeah, my mama say I play the video game too much. They'll pay you $110,000 a year to move around and pick up and pack. You know what I'm saying? Play with a controller. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like
Yep.
I just gotta find the skills that they have or the passion that they have, whether that be money, whether that be an industry, whether it be clothes, whether that be something that they think is not a skill that they've been building. Show them what it is, and then show them how a manufacturing career is a pathway to it. And the light bulb goes off every single time, man.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. That's good. Man, brother, it has been a pleasure having you on. We definitely gotta wrap again, man. Like the work that you're doing, super inspirational, man. Keep up the work. Yeah, yeah, it's been good, brother.
Thank you, man. We gotta do something in person together, my man.
Yeah,
One
yeah,
of
for
these days
sure.
when we both in the road off the road together, when we both back home, man, we gotta build, big dog. But
Yep,
I
yep, for
appreciate you
sure.
having me, my friend, man. Been a great conversation, man, and I look forward to the next one.